So, when last I left off, there had been some very good successes in simplifying the polymorphism code, and I was about to switch to basically the overall issue being worked on right now is this do polymorph procedure gets called in two different modes. One where this argument is null and some kind of data is supplied here, and one where this argument is not null, where this argument is not null and this one is null. And they were historically two different modes of operating, but they really should be one mode for the language to be clean. And once we manage to do that, we will successively be able to propagate that simplification up all the way to the language semantic level, which will be good. Now, and it'll just make this part of the whole polymorphism mechanism less complicated and less scary, which means that in the future, I can build some more features on top of it in order to demo, and that'll be really great. So what we're doing is some of the background work kind of thing that enables this to be a reasonable piece of software and not a disaster. I've spent, over the past couple of years when I've been working on this, there have been many times when for a week or two I just tear something apart completely and rebuild it. This isn't quite that extensive, but it really is. I mean, it's a sort of a major surgical operation on this one subsystem, and we're taking it in parts. And where we left off, I had mostly got this done where, once this try me thing works, I can delete this. And this is one of only two places in the program that uses this argument anymore. And once we get the other one, then we can remove that argument from do polymorph, and things are good. So, Sokoban seems to compile and run with this, but the polymorphism demo doesn't, which is why it's a good idea to have at least two sample programs that you're testing. And it's breaking just in this case right now, where we have a procedure that where you don't provide any arguments to fill out the data. How should I say it? So there's a polymorphic variable in this procedure declaration, but it's in the return value right here, right? So it takes no arguments and returns some type. And when you call something like that, your call, because it provides no arguments, doesn't give any information about what that type should be. So this modify procedure has to give that information. And then I think for some reason we're not giving that a chance, like this error check is maybe happening too early or something. So I just have to look at where this error happens. I'm hoping it's actually a small problem. So let's look for needed but not specified. But was not specified. Okay. So this is, let me just go to Emacs because I can navigate better in Emacs. So that's line 639 of polymorph.cpp. So where are we? We're in do polymorph. That's really not a surprise. So we're looking in the types block. Okay, so in order for this to work, this has to happen after the modify. And it looks like it does. So here's what's going on. I'm going to put an assert in here, and I expect this assertion to fail because the problem is that when the modify procedure running thing, which was the last thing that I worked on in the previous stream, when that puts in an answer, it probably doesn't clear out the type instantiation that makes this. Yeah. So let's watch that fail. Oh, it didn't. what? Did I assert the right thing? Okay. Well, let's just break there. I feel like we're going to break there and just look. So we should have run the modify directive. So we can make sure that that happened, first of all. Actually, I should have put the breakpoint a little bit lower. Well, it's false anyway. So the expression is null. The identifier is t. We did not run the modified directives. That is why this happened. So we didn't pass type block expressions. Oh. Okay. Remember, this whole hack in here to turn on run modify directives, which is a temporary piece of code that we'll remove later, looks at the value bakes to see if any of them are, coming from matching the types in a procedure call, basically. When there are no arguments, you're not going to match anything. So the value bakes are going to have 0 items. So that's what's happening here. But that's a valid situation, right? So really what I want to say is, well, if there's no value bakes, yeah, this is fine. I don't have to think too hard about long-term impact of this, whether that might harm anything, because this is going to go away anyway. All right. Hey, there we go. And Sokoban. All that good stuff. All that good stuff. All right. Well, okay, let's not check it in yet. Because try me is now 1. So we're going to get rid of the if-def try me. Or the if try me. We're going to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm writing down a couple things to look at later. Okay, that is great. Now there should be, okay, now we can retest and check in. Whoops. Retest and check in. Look at all that. Okay. I wonder why this is weird. I need to maybe look at why this is happening 4 times. We'll see. That'll be something we look into. Okay. So let's make sure that runs. Yeah, let's make sure the demo runs. Okay. So there should be exactly 1 left. So that has null as a second argument. We want all to have null. That does not have null as a second argument right there. But this one does, and that one does. So yes, it is only this one. And now, in principle, we just do the same thing on this one that we did on the other one. And then we can look at, we'll check that in, and then we'll look at destroying filled types block expressions and stuff. Okay, so I'm going to make this into a utility proc called convert solutions to items. Cleanup, bake item, and polymorph match should maybe be the same thing. Convert matches to items, maybe. What is solutions? It's a match status. Yeah. Okay, so this is just going to be well, what do we need here? We need so we have those are match statuses. All right, so it's fine to take a match status pointer. For status arrow matches, we make an item, we fill it out, we add it, that's it. Oh. I don't really need this argument, but I'm passing it anyway. All right, so that should hopefully still work. Yeah. So we can go over here and do this because we're in C++. Instead of that, we will say array bake item items convert matches to items interp This is basically what fill types block expressions does as well, sort of. We're just doing it, we're doing it in a slightly different way into a slightly different format now. So, and items, and then once we've done that, we say do polymorph, but we put null here. And instead of null here, we put items. That's the fact, Jack. Pass my arguments in the wrong order. Wait. Argument 2, from array of polymorph match to match status. Oh. This is the match status right here. That's the fact, Jack. That's the fact, Jack. Okay, this is, you know, early on, these streams were going a little slow, but we're achieving the objectives now. Okay. That's all good. I've been streaming a lot lately. Yeah, I just, sometimes I'm in a streaming mood, and sometimes I'm not in a streaming mood. You know. You know. Okay, so we've checked that in. So now we delete this. Maybe we could have done that before checking that in. So now we're going to go into polymorph.h, go to do polymorph, and we destroy that argument, which makes me so happy. And now we have to get rid of it. Do polymorph, do polymorph, do polymorph. Okay, we're getting somewhere. This would be enough, once this is done, for me to feel like this was a successful cleanup. And I could, my camera pointing too much up, I could stop at this point. I don't think I'm gonna stop at this point. That's weird. Yeah, because I want to look at what is all this, and like, why does it use fill types, block expressions, and I guess this is for structs only. We'll look at it in a bit. We got to finish this. So all mentions of types, block express. Oh, it succeeded. All right. Compiling, it's compiling, and it's running. Let me look closer at that output just to make sure. Yep. Yep. That's working. So, this is wonderful. It is wonderful. It is wonderful. Okay, right. So actually, I'm going to do a check-in and then I'm going to test that. So, okay. Do polymorph now has one argument less. Yeah, okay, so now we're going to say assert value bakes here. Yeah, okay. So that at least means that we get rid of this, and we get rid of that, and we do that. Maybe we just always say run modify directives equals true. Maybe that's the new rule. If we ever want to not run modify directives. Yeah, you know what? Maybe writing all that code didn't matter. It was just, I was doing it as a precautionary thing. But it certainly looks like nobody cares. Okay, well, that's fine. So you know what that means? This goes, everybody gets a car. You get a car, you get a car. Everybody gets a car. This is awesome. All right. Yeah, all right. Modify directives. Modify directives. I haven't been keeping track of how much code there was, but I feel like it was about this much yesterday. So we're at least unraveling the system. Maybe it's fewer lines of code. I don't know. I feel like we've been in the 38.1 neighborhood for a while. Okay. I can't tell. My chat. Twitch says I have a new message in my chat. I can't tell which one it is. Thank you, Twitch. It looks like I've read everything. Yeah, since that tweet though, I've managed to hit some more stuff, I think. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe this is all from the polymorphism cleanup. But we have yet more to go. So now, last time when I searched for, okay, let me start crossing stuff off on my piece of paper. So I kind of want to get rid of fill types block entries, and it used to be used a lot. But now, whoops, fill types block expressions. Now it is only used in one place because in the process of cleaning out do polymorph, we removed all the other places. So if we can hit that one place, then we can delete that chunk of code, which is, you know, that's a good 11 lines, something like that. It used to be longer, but we factored this out because we need this part. So fill types block expressions is being called here. Move matches into types block. What is this? Is this only for structs? Is the question. Yeah, see, here's a comment, at least from 2016, of like, it seems like, yeah, seems like this shouldn't be the way that we do this. Okay, so where does move matches in the types block get called from? Where are we? Solve for matches in a lambda. What? Where even are we? Okay, let me just make sure that's the only one. Move matches. It's called twice, I guess. Okay, but from the same place, essentially. Right, so solve for matches. Decides if we're doing the hard case or not, etc. Okay. And that is called from do polymorph, I'm sure. This is the loop solver here. Right, so this, okay, make polymorph called procedure. So we solve for matches, we convert the matches to bake items, and we do polymorph. Okay. So now what's bugging me is that the struct polymorph doesn't use this at all. So let me write down struct polymorph, because we want to unify a bunch of that with a bunch of this stuff too. You know what? This stuff has changed so much that questions like that are no longer a concern. Okay, so right, I think this is straightforward. Fill types block expressions, instead of calling that, we just look up the items one by one in the types block. Right? So instead I'm going to say for matches auto deco equals find in block interp it dot ident name types block assert decal. Right? Let's make sure that works. So we're just looking them up. Instead of making a copy into this separate expressions array, we're just asserting that we can find it. That's great. And then well, I am not sure why we are skipping guys who are already bound, but we are, whatevs. Dish at cleanup test to ensure that this is not this does not actually occur at runtime, or indeed at understanding why it does. Okay, and I'm saying that because there's this. Oh, that's another thing. That we're going to do. So this thing, this checking the expression and it's not poly use continue, that's just sort of saying like, hey, this thing is already bound to something, so let's ignore it. And I don't remember why we're doing that, but we're going to do that. So this, well, we'll clean this up in a bit. This clearly we are doing this this three-step thing in several places, and it's a little precarious to do that, so we're going to factor that out. All right, and the rest of that's just asserts, so whatever. So like that should be that. Expressions, undeclared identifier. Oh, right. We don't want that. We want it to be is it called expression or is it called value? It's called expression. Well, that worked. That worked. I like it when things work the first time. When they work the first time. Okay. So now we delete this. We delete fill, types, block expressions. Does anyone else? No. That's good. Let's make sure that works. Types, block, expressions is gone. How'd we get? Ah, we got 22 lines of code. That's not bad. 22 lines of code. I wrote minus 22 lines of code right now. All right. That is worth some chocolate. If I program well, I get fat, so that's okay. "22 lines of code is like 0.065% of the compiler. That's not nothing. Really? That's funny. I don't know. I don't like the game. Should I play it some more tonight and verify that I don't like it or what? Like, I just don't like it. I'm not in as good of a shape as I used to be. back when I was doing Kung Fu, I was in good shape. You know, yeah, I would have a hard time losing weight as I get better at programming because I eat more chocolate, but I'll make that trade-off. If I can continually become a better programmer, then getting fat is a small price to pay. Yeah, I just don't, you know what I feel like about that game? I feel like a lot of console gamers rated it highly because there haven't been that many games like that on console or something. But like, you know, one of my favorite games was Gothic, right? Which, I don't know what year that was. So, Gothic PC game release date. 2001 or 2002, okay? And Breath of the Wild is basically Gothic, but not as good. I mean, that's not really right, because Gothic didn't have puzzle areas in that way. Gothic is more like, you know, dungeon crawler first-person combat thing. And objectively speaking, okay, the combat in the Zelda game is better than the combat in Gothic, and sort of better. It's not as good in some ways. Gothic has tons of flaws and all that. Gothic 2 Gold is better, but like if you extrapolate for time, it's just, I guess all I'm trying to say here is trying to say that if you played games like Gothic, I think you would not be that excited by an open world game in 2017 where you run your guy around in this world that essentially is context free. It's just like random towers in random places and, you know, random temples in random places. It's just, maybe it'll feel better as I keep playing it. Maybe it'll feel more structured or something, but I don't know. I just, like, I played this game in 2001 and I liked that one better. That's all I'm saying. So the thing about Gothic is it's got really poor, I actually live streamed it at one point. I might stream it again sometime. Hopefully my save game is Steam clouded or something. It really doesn't hold up technology-wise, right? Because a 3D engine back then was really primitive, and so, you know, the interface is not that good. It's really bizarre. You know, everything's low poly in a way that you don't have now and all that. Because it was 2001, what are you going to do, right? But it's a really good game. I've played Gothic twice all the way through. I've played Gothic 2 twice all the way through. So, I don't know. Did I play Horizon? I streamed Horizon. The videos are probably still on Twitch. Because it wasn't that long ago. It was a couple weeks ago. I played, you know, the first 3 hours of Horizon or something. Yeah, I mean, Gothic has a lot of running around. It actually gets better because you get ways of going faster. Like in Gothic, you can polymorph yourself into a fast-moving thing, I think. Or it's been so long. But yeah, so when I design an open-world game, I try to make it as high density as possible, which I think was not a design aesthetic that existed back then. So, you know, I'm by no means saying it's a perfect game. I'm just saying, like, man, I don't know. I'm not going to repeat myself. Yeah, is Gothic on sale? Let's look on Steam. Gothic 2 Gold is $2.49. Buy that. That is really worth it. That's amazing. Gothic 1, $3.99. Gothic 3 I didn't like. I don't remember it that well, but I remember not liking it. The user reviews for these track that as well. And then they also did this series called Risen. I think Gothic 3 was done by a different developer, which is why the original developer went on and did Risen. The Risen games are not that bad. They're more modern, so the technology is higher. But I never liked them quite as much as Gothic. I never played Risen 3, I don't think. Yeah, that got bad reviews. All right, well. If you like the Gothic games and want to play something that's similar in sensibility but higher tech, play Risen and Risen 2. You know, but so... You know, and these games don't have stuff like your weapon breaking every 5 seconds, which I understand the game design idea behind why they're doing that, but I don't think the result is good. I think it's one of those design ideas that is, in principle, seems good, but in fact is really not good. What games do I recommend on the Steam sale? I don't know, man. There's so much stuff on sale. Oh, does Jim Sterling hate Risen? Oh, the third one. Yeah, I never played the third one because I heard it was terrible at the time. Does Piranha Bytes still exist? Wait, what? Gothic 5? What? Holy what? Piranha Bytes is working a new game, Maybe Gothic Vanish. Take a look at it. I'm glad that the developer is still around. Here's someone else who says the first 2 Gothic games are amazing. I can say without a doubt they were the best RPG games that I ever played, etc. What is this? Is this a troll video? Like, why is there a live action video of a woman and it's labeled official? What? I just have to see this.
Witaj. Wspaniałe wiadomości. Jak zawsze.
This is just a super troll video. Oh, it's a pirate troll. It's called Alex. Oh, here's a more modern thing. Oh, geez. What? How did I not know about this? This must have been talked about at E3. Alex gameplay trailer. Okay, let's just watch this. I don't know what I'm looking at. They've got this close-in Mass Effect perspective, except that they don't there. That's weird. Yeah, I'll play this. totally play that. October 17, early birthday present for me. I hope it's good. Yeah, so I just don't know why people think the design of Breath of the Wild is good. 16 minutes of gameplay. So the art direction is good and the tech is good, but I don't want a movie trailer. Well, let's just see how they promote it. I don't like this trailer. How do we get to the gameplay?
Edan, my home, the only home I know. Many years have passed since we found our dwelling at the foot of this mountain. In the ruins of the old world, we found shelter. The future where our kind could flourish. It is thanks to the courage and strength of our warriors that our city can still defy the enemy. Only the bravest and strongest berserkers will survive the war against the machine. Through mana,
I don't know. Those combat
we are
clips
stronger
didn't look good.
and more powerful than any machine the Alps can use against us. But not only does it give us strength, it turns barren, stony soil into fertile earth, letting the world blossom again. We are the brotherhood of warriors and magic.
Okay, this is...
We are.
I want the gameplay trailer. Alright. Why is he shooting that with a grenade launcher? It looks very Fallout-y. But with a nicer art style than the Fallout games tend to have. What? I want to see like contiguous gameplay. And not a bunch of random clips. This is like all the same stuff that they just showed clips of.
The planet. Been there.
Oh, jetpack. Looking a little janky there at the camera cutting through the model. Well, combat doesn't seem good. We'll see how it is at release, though. But just like if you look at that right there, it's a much higher density world than like a Breath of the Wild world in terms of features. That might be because of the hardware that the Zelda game has to run on. You know, if you have the advantage of being for PC, it's much stronger hardware, so, you know. Run away! Ow. Oh, was that a chainsaw sword? Alright. Alright. Anyway, we'll see how that is in release. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe it needs more time in development. We'll see how that goes. No, I haven't played any Skyrim mods. Yeah, that's the thing, is Gothic 1 and 2 are great. And I feel like maybe they didn't know what made them good, because Risen went further away from what made Gothic 1 and 2 really great, and became a little more generic. And so if this is even more generic, then it'll be a bummer. Yeah, we'll see. I could almost guarantee you someone is gonna redeem that Steam key. I could try. But it'll be gone by the time. If it's gone, there's a way to whisper me. I'm running Steam, I'm adding a game. Whoops, not a non-Steam game. No. The product code you've entered has already been activated by a different Steam account. You could whisper me a code that nobody else could see, because otherwise it's just not going to work. Someone just said, you say /W for whisper? All right. Anyway. Let's go back to the programming, because I'm not going to edit this out of the stream. So anyone who came for a programming stream later on YouTube is going to have a big trailer fest in the middle. Okay. Did I check in? Yeah. So I want to do this. I'm going to say all of this, we're going to say bind types block entry new decal to bake value. Inline void bind types block entry declaration decal as expression expr Okay, so everybody who's doing these steps is gonna, so anyone who says type inst equals null is gonna say bind types block expression decal it dot expression. That's it? Thought it was more than 2 places. I guess not. Yeah, all right. Let's make sure that works. Oh, I finally got a whisper with the code. All right. I gotta check this in and then I'll redeem the code. So, bind types block expression identifier not found. Oh, bind types block entry. Okay. Let's make sure that still works. Well, let's count. We went from 38166 to 38167. We're up 1 line. That's no good. I mean, it's fine, but sometimes you hope for the lines to go down and they go up. What? How do I compile Silkabon? Where's my... Do I often review games for Indie Fund? Yeah. I mean, in as much as I think that we have something plausible. Okay, let's momentarily do this. Add a game, activate a product on Steam. I actually got it. It's preparing for install. All right, that is downloading. Great. Okay, so that thing on my list is done. That thing is done. Let's look at combining bake item and polymorph match, which I'd been talking about. Bake item, right? Because remember, we have these 2 things, and they're basically the same thing. Well, let's see. And then so let me look at what flagged for ignore is. I mean, we can certainly just ignore flagged for ignore on the other thing. So we only ever set it here if we are matching a bunch of guys against the same varargs arguments. Okay, wait. We will silently ignore the later guys. So this is like only used in this one function, right? Except I'm not sure I'm convinced that this is right. Oh, I see, right. Okay. You're matching a bunch of guys. It's the same Verarg's argument. Wait. What? Why do I need the flagged for ignore at all? Oh, because down here, right? This whole thing is just for dealing with Verargs. Kind of feel like there's a better way to do that. That doesn't require all this code. Like, when we put the Verargs in, just don't put them in if you're not the first one. Okay. But I probably need to make a test case for that. Like struct polymorph Verargs or something. But anyway, so this is not any kind of global behavior thing. It's just used for that one situation. So, I could maybe do this as a start. Type def Did I not do that right? Oh, because it's called value versus expression. Right. $12.98. So now this copying thing is extra useless because it's copying a thing to the same type. Value is not a member. Okay, these are in type error. Line 3129. Expression. Line 4555. Expression. Line 4563. Expression. See if that works. All right, so that's good. So we get rid of this. Let's get rid of this and just let's not quite do that yet. Let's make sure it still compiles. And we'll get rid of this. Convert matches to items. Well, okay. Yeah. Get rid of this. Well, we'll comment it out at first. And instead of items, we're going to do solutions.matches. Actually, let's leave this. We'll do only one instance of that at a time. There's two of them. Ah! Didn't work. Hold on. Okay. My suspicion is that the reason it doesn't work when I do that is that the matches live. I think it has something to do with this flagged for ignore. Like if you were to call twice on the same set of stuff, you might have residual flagged for ignores, but it's not clear to me in what case that would happen. Because for example, in this case, we're getting a fresh set of matches. Right, so here, so actually, all I do is I toggle this, and it'll stop working, right? Yeah. In value bake, parameter t is not found. Oh, right. So, where is this? Make polymorph of called procedure. Right, so matches to items, set this to false, that's the thing, and our new thing doesn't, so. That works. Okay. So that's a temporary hack, but then that lets us get rid of these things. Why does polymorph class have an init function instead of having a constructor? because you may want to have one by value on something that owns it, but not initialize it when you construct the thing that owns it. And constructors don't let you do that. All right. Okay, this is good. So now the other place for convert matches to items, let's just comment this out and then see where it dies. In typer, convert matches to items. Well, let's just well, let's just leave that. Convert oh, because I commented out convert matches. All right, fine. Fine. Hey, that works. Hey, that works. Ugh, so long. All right, so delete this. Delete this. Delete this. And count. Where are we at? 157. So we got like what, 9 or 10 lines of code? 9? That's pretty good. But more importantly, we've gotten, well, we're not done yet. So the rest of this isn't going to get us much in the way of lines of code, but we want to get rid of this alias called bake item because we want to know that they're the same thing. So let's look for other occurrences of bake item. Let's hit this. So replace bake item with polymorph match. And all right. Just in typer. Okay. I'm gonna write this down. Then we'll delete this alias. deleting an alias. Run that. Okay. Run that. All right. One more line of code. So that gets crossed off my paper list. Should remove, okay, so let's go back and look at this. So I just put in these hack loops, which is one of the reasons why we didn't get more lines of code back a little bit. To set this for false to false, because that's what the other thing did. However, we can just do that when those are created instead. Because when they come from type matches, they happen in a certain place. Maybe add match. Of course, this is more lines of code, of course. Maybe it'll come out even, because we call maybe add match a lot. You know what? Screw it. We're going to do it the other way. Oh, I hope I didn't break something. Let's just recompile and make sure I didn't break something. I can always revert that if it's... There, that works. So what I'm thinking is the default should be false, because it's usually... The majority of times these are generated, they come from the type matching system, right? The times when it should be true are only a couple. So should remove arg. Let me look for places. Item that should remove argument by this name equals true. Yeah. Checking types, man. Why was this not flagged? All right. Okay, so the rest of this, in that file is fine, and then look in this file. All right, well, let's see if I missed anything. Also, Gabon's compiling. It's compiling. All right. That's working. Okay, so that means that then I can remove this hack loop. Remove that, and remove this hack loop. So that should be the same. All right. We got another 5 lines code out of that, although that's not the important part. The important part is removing the dumb hack loops. See, it's always okay to add little stupid hacks like that if it helps get you a little bit further forward, because you can always take them out. Now, you have to have the discipline to go take them out, though. You don't just leave them there forever. You don't just leave them there forever. So we're like 35 lines of code down from where we were earlier today. Well, I've got a number of things on my piece of paper. How did the language pan out? It is still panning out. This is what I'm working on now. It's going well. Right now I'm working on increasing the quality of the implementation, which I need to do once in a while in order to build new things on it without it getting too messy. So this is like a disciplined... We're going through stuff that already works and making it better. Not necessarily from the user standpoint, but from the implementation standpoint. It needs to be solid. Okay. There's a few things written down here. Let's look at this flagged for ignore thing, right? So I was saying that this whole check for duplicates is only about finding things that are flagged for ignore and removing them. And that's like this big procedure that, oh, well, it also does this. But all this stuff, and then this stuff, I suspect is unnecessary. And then we could get rid of flagged for ignore, right? And the reason is that if something is varargs, I don't know if varargs works for procedures right now. I think it doesn't. I was under the impression it doesn't, and then it only works for structs for some reason, and that's because I demoed it for structs. Well, Well, let's see what, look for the word varargs in this file. Okay, if we have a varargs element type, maybe it does work. Okay, so here it looks to me let me look if the demo uses varargs. Doesn't appear to. It looks to me like if we're testing against varargs, we test the first one and skip subsequent ones, which would only generate one match, which would be a more sane way of doing it. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to here and we'll add varargs test, not text. Foo. Whoops. It takes variables, our number of arguments of type t, returns a t. That way we know result t. Whoops. Args. Result is args of 0. Print result is blah. Result. Return result. Okay, it's not a very interesting procedure. Foo of 5, foo of 5.0, foo of 5.0. All right. Who knows what that's going to do? I don't know. Oh, well. I just want to explicitly use T in the interior, although, you know, that's not necessary. Let's just do this. Expected only a type here. All right, because this is a declaration. My brain is going to mush. Hey, look, it worked. Result is 5, result is 5.0, result is 5.0. So let's go 3, 4, 3.0, 4.0. Well, result is 3, 3.1, and 3.0. So the varargsness appears to be working fine. So that's a good test. And now we will use this test to make sure that any simplifications that's good that this worked. This could have gone awry in a bad way. So firstly, I just want to know, maybe this other thing was included for struct polymorph. And if that's the case, we're going to use this tactic on struct. In fact, we're going to unify struct polymorph so it wouldn't be necessary any more. Right, so let me just see if that ever happens anymore. Yes, it does. Interesting. Let's find out where it happens. How was it in Dubrovnik? Did I have a good or bad time? I had a good time in Dubrovnik. It was nice. Except for, there's one or two things that happened that were not good, but overall it was good. Okay, where are we in the program? We're solving for matches. Calling a procedure. Site line number. Site file name 1658. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, right, okay. Yeah. So, okay, it's not actually avoiding generating the extra entries. So I need to think about now what is the best way to avoid generating the extra entries. And I could just set something on the match status that matches are currently disabled for varargs. Right? So the problem is, we match all of these versus the type of this, right? So we match the 3 against that, and the $t gets bound to float, and then we attach, or int, and we match the 4, and $t also gets bound to int, right? And then 5, it also gets bound to int. So we have 3 t's. And so we just want to prevent that, rather than being forced to remove duplicate t's later. It's also faster to prevent that, because you're not allocating and filling in more memory, so that's good. So let's try this approach. Match status is going to say bool new matches disabled due to subsequent varargs. Okay, now this raises some philosophical issues, but due to processing whatever. This raises some philosophical issues, but they're things that would not be handled in maybe the right way in the old implementation or the new implementation. So I'm not going to worry about it till later. Maybe add using Piper. So when we add a polymorph match, we're going to say if we're disabled, return. And then okay. exactly what I'm doing here. This is just prepping input to the solver. Call solve for matches. Yeah. So do we ever use this did var args check? No, it's just used to potentially issue an error here that we never issue. So this variable is essentially not doing anything right now. So match solver input is going to say, what is the first varargs argument? No. Okay. So the inputs wait, we don't want this. Right. So we're going to say in okay. So there's an index for where the varargs element goes, and we're going to pass that to solve for matches. Because this is C++, we have to do this tedious thing. And let's make sure that compiles. It does not. Solve for matches. Okay, there's another one. Oh, just this needs to call that. All right. So now this still doesn't solve the problem, because then what happens is solve for matches non-looping. We say matching wanted dot whatever it was called, this equals and I is greater than right. I think that's right. So that's for the non-looping, and then for the looping we have to do that as well. And then in start variable matching, polymorph, I just want to say that undisable this. All right, maybe that'll do something. Hey. Well, hopefully I didn't change back the thingamabobber. Okay, so now we go back to check for duplicates. And, right, so this assertion was still in there. So that's gone. And so now that was the only thing that ever sets flag for ignore, which means that's gone. And that's gone, and that's gone, right? Maybe I should have checked in before I did that, but I feel like that's all right. I wish this compiled faster. So that's good, and that's good. Then we can take this out of here, right? Because hopefully nobody uses it. Yeah. Yeah. All right. This cleanup is going good. Flag for ignore is gone. Is gone. So I think I'm bordering on a break. If there are any final questions before the break. 45. We got another 10 lines of code, but we also removed variable in one of those struct declarations just there, and we got rid of a loop, actually two loops that sort of redundantly iterate over and potentially detect and remove ignored guys. So we actually sped that process up a fair bit. In addition to having fewer lines of code. How easy do I think this engine will be to work with? Readability, getting up and running, non-janky in most areas. Do you mean the compiler or the Sokoban game engine? I assume you mean the Sokoban engine, but I just want to clarify that question. Sokoban, yeah. I am hoping for it to be easy to get up and running with. So what I actually want to provide is, here's a game, but it's a super minimal game, Like maybe it'll just be your guy walks around from square to square and pushes blocks. That's not what we're going to ship as a Sokoban game, but once we go in and start doing all sorts of the game specific stuff just for our game, it also kind of makes the code more bulky with stuff that most people don't care about, right? So I want to be able to factor it into a release where it's just like, look, this is just dudes walking around and they can push a block and it does rendering and audio and all that you need for a different game as well, and just take this and run with it. So that's the plan. All that said, it's not trying to be Unity where it's like you don't need to know programming and can just do stuff. It's definitely for programmers, but it's going to try to be as clean and usable as possible for programmers. In the first demo, you mentioned making a compile target of GPU assembly language. Is that a joke or may it happen down the line? I don't know. I mean, apparently people are compiling C++ to GPUs now. So maybe that'll happen. It doesn't seem that hard. I mean, we have an LLVM backend, so if somebody does GPU version of LLVM, we could just, which probably already exists to some degree. I don't know how good it is, but we could just use that. That's just how that works. I answer the programming book resource thing every stream. I don't really know. I think all how to program books that I've read are pretty bad. I mean, the Edward Brooks Mythical Man Month is good, but that's not exactly programming in the small. It's more about like what happens when teams try to program. Well, super minimal in the sense that it does a lot for you. It just doesn't do things you don't want. Like you want shaders and you want character animation and, an entity system and all that, right? Like it's not super minimal in the sense of like it only draws a triangle on the screen and then says, there you go, take it from there. There's a right point to go to. You're recently replacing malloc as the default allocator. Should each target platform set the default allocator in the context? No, I don't feel like the default allocator should be particularly platform specific. I mean, on the very back end, like how does it get memory from the operating system? It has to be, but I think like the allocation algorithms used are probably going to be defined. I don't know. I have to work it out. I still haven't completed that piece of work yet. Yeah, it's no problem. It's just, I don't want to answer that question, man, every single time because it just gets old. In Vararg's test, does foo without arguments work? It probably doesn't. It'll probably say you didn't declare the type of T. Let's do it really fast. I have a big comment, actually, if you saw it going by, in the source code, saying that it doesn't work right now, simply because I'm not sure what is a better thing to do. Like, what is the type of this? I could say, well, the types of these arguments are void, but in that case, then this won't compile, probably. Maybe this particular thing would, but a lot of things wouldn't. And so I said for now, well, maybe you have to have a modified proc that supplies T if you do this. Let me just try it, though, and see what happens. Yeah. So it just says, like, look, it wasn't specified. And we could add further information saying, like, okay, it wasn't specified because it's var args and you didn't provide any args. But, yeah, you need to supply at least one argument right now. Because otherwise it just doesn't know what to do. And again, I just don't know what the right answer is. If anyone knows what the right answer is, then email me. All right. How did I learn to manage complexity? By getting snowed under by complexity many, many times and learning how important it is to not have that happen. All right. I'm going to take a break again. I'll probably stream again in a little bit. Thanks, everybody. See you later. I'll answer the signed versus unsigned question in a different stream, maybe. See you later.